Good people, what's happening? What's good? What's cracking? How you doing? Hello, side. However you say it in Japan. Hey, yo, what's up? Today is the Dre Morset podcast. You are in tune to, and I am your host, Dre Morset. And today's show is going to be a deep show. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna have to be able to be fully transparent and fully honest about everything that I want to discuss. And you can't be in your feelings about what is being said. There will be some, harsh words. There will be a lot of honesty. There will be just some truth here. And if you're able to accept that, I truly appreciate it. If you're not, then you should be able to start allowing yourself to open up to things that are not always cushiony, but are reality and the truth. So today's show is going to be about absent fathers, man. Absent fathers, and I want to say a good portion of us can really relate to uh, fathers not being there and the effects of the missing fathers of America. I'm talking about true missing fathers of America that had a tremendous impact on how, you as a man or you as a woman became as you began to get older and who you are today. But before we even get started, again, I want to thank everybody, as I always do, for tuning in. We had 250 subscribers at the moment, and my whole goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So I want y'all to really start liking, subscribing, and comment and passing this content on to other people because I think the more ideas that people tell me about, the more stories that I hear, the more reality situations that I come in contact with, we can make this a really great show. Um, so start liking, subscribing, and comment. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment. It does me well to read people's comments because I want to know what you're thinking about what I'm saying. Am I spot on? Am I, way off? Or am I in the ballpark somewhere in the vicinity? So please let me know. So I want you guys to start liking, subscribing, and comment on every time there's an episode, whether it's a 10-minute episode or an hour episode. I want people to really engage in the comments. And then in the comments, listen, if you feel like you want me to talk about something, put them in the comments. Give me some ideas of what you want to hear me discuss. And I will gladly do that. So don't be afraid to say, hey, Dre, man, I want you to talk about this and see what you think about that, and I will certainly give it some great consideration. So again, I'm very appreciative to everybody who continues to like and to who continues to subscribe and continue to watch. It means me a great deal, and I hope that I'm really reaching people because that is the main goal: is to reach people and make them think and put them in a reality perspective of how this life is really going down. So I ain't gonna talk you to death. I'm gonna get straight to what I want to talk about. And what I want to talk about is this. All bullshit aside. Not just I'm gonna speak from the black community. I'm gonna speak from the black perspective and how things are and how not having your father, not having a father around to engage with you as you growing up. Um, a lot of us been in positions where the father was nowhere near. And if you did see him, it was sparingly. It was like he'd come in for an hour or two and dip off, or some of us didn't even have that. And I want to talk about that. How has the absent fathers and the black community have really affected how black men and how black women uh, go about their daily lives? And when I say I'm speaking about black fathers that have been missing and absent in black culture, again, when I say that, I can't speak about how that feels in the Asian or white community or Spanish community. I can't, because I'm not Asian, Spanish, or white. I can only come from a perspective of what my reality is. And I can hear stories all day long, but if it ain't my reality, I can relate, but it ain't my reality. You know what I'm saying? So don't be offended if I'm speaking from a perspective of a black male about black situations and about different situations that I've seen, but I can only speak from the lens of a black male. So when we're talking about absent fathers in the black community, absent fathers are so prevalent. There are so many absent fathers, and the damage that it has caused is catastrophic to me. And I'm not just over the top saying it. Not having your father in your life has done significant damage to black men, has done significant damage to black women. It has done significant damage to black mothers. It has done significant damage in the black community, period. Overall, no, having a parent, having a father, when you go back to like the 1800s and 1920s and 1930s and those ages, black fathers were the glue, were the person in that family that held everything together, that had to go out there and work, and had to go out there and make things happen for the family. And when you see these old movies, the father was always the staple of that whole family. And I couldn't even imagine what that would have been like for people going through slavery or people going through just rough times in those early 1800s and early 1900s, what it would have been like without the fathers in the in the homes and in the community. So I'm going to speak about that today. I'm going to speak about the effects that having not having my father has been for me, and I'm gonna be as transparent about that as much as I can. So I'm not just gonna speak about just things that I've seen. I'm gonna speak about my own experiences as well, and I think that lets people know, man, listen, I'm not walking around thinking I'm the greatest thing walking, or I don't have any issues, or never had any issues, or never had any things that adversity that I had to go through, or all that. I have. So when we speak about this, it's very near and dear to me, and I'm going to speak the truth. So this is what I see. Again, this is my reality. When the father is missing, when the father is missing from a young boy's life, and when the father is missing from a young girl's life, it begins to put layers of callous uh, situations. Like, it makes a callous over feelings. Like, when you're growing up as a black, let me speak from a black boy, like a black boy. If you're a black young boy, not being able, when you see your father, you're happy to see him. You happy to see him. You want to be around your father. You just want you love that man unconditionally. And as a female, I'm sure loving your daddies, being a daddy's girl is just it does a lot for that young little girl. When you don't have the father present and he's not around and he's not coming to get you, or he's not actively around you, and you can't conversate with them, the things that leads you to be and become based on a person not being there is tragic. There's a lot of people out here who the father wasn't there, right? So you got other things that substituted the father role. Like, I'm gonna speak on gangs. Even though I wasn't with a gang, a lot of people, are in gangs because a piece of the family structure were missing, or a certain dynamic of the father was missing. So just imagine this. Do you think for 1 second that if you you're a child or you're a teenager and your father is a dominant force in your life and he's around and he's in the house, and your mother's around and she's in the house, but that dominant force by your father instilling in you right and wrong, and you growing up with your father, and your father is teaching you these different ways of how life is, do you really think there will be as many gang members out here? Do you really think a lot of kids will go the pathway of being in a gang if their father, if the father was really around? Like I'm talking about, when making sure they do the right thing, even punishing the young cat when they're wrong. I'm talking about being real fathers where you say, oh, nah, you ain't out here in these streets and willing to challenge certain situations out in these streets to protect their children. Do you think a lot of dudes will become gang members if the father was really around? Do you think females will become gang members if their father was around to embrace them and say, nah, we ain't doing that. I'm here. You don't have to search for a family. I'm your family. Your mother's your family. But having that backbone as a father to say, no, we're on this path. And I'm gonna teach you the way. Nobody outside of that is gonna show you the way, but I am. Do you think for 1 second that it would be as many gang members if black fathers was involved in these kids' lives? Do you think there would be as many gang members? I'm not saying there wouldn't be any gang members, but do you think the number of gang members would be as high if black fathers? Think about every gang member that don't have a father in their life, and their mother had to be both. Their mother had to be a mother and a father. But what people don't understand, and what black fathers don't understand that are absent, a woman can't be a man. A woman can't be a man. A woman can be a woman. She can't be a man. She can't take on the role of being a man, establishing man values to that young boy, and teaching that young boy how to, grow up and be a substantial, a solid young man. She can't do that. That's not in her DNA. That's not in a woman's DNA to take on being a man. So if you look at all of these gang members out here and you put them all, let's say it's 50,000 gang members per gang, and if 30,000 of those gang members had fathers who were 100% participating in their sons' lives the minute they were born. Do you think it'll be as many gang members? I don't think so. And this is just me speculating. You know what a father does to a young boy? Do you know what a father does and the impact that he has on a young boy? Listen, my mother was the greatest woman ever in my life for me and my brother. We had the most impactful, uh, great childhood that one could ever have. But the trauma that I've had with my father was, it has an effect on me to this day. It has an effect. I remember every detail about how he was and how he treated me and how he treated my brother. Were two different situations. My father was what I thought he was this. I mean, he done things that listen. I remember just his impact on my life. He didn't teach me shit. He didn't teach me how to tie a tie. I was good in track and football, right? He didn't go to none of my. He had never went to a football game, never went to a track meet or nothing. He played no significance in my life throughout my years. All my dad did was for me is gave me clothes, gave me a lot of nice clothes, gave my brother nice clothes. He didn't spend quality time with me and my brother whatsoever. So as time go on, the resentment for that dude began to settle in. And we argued and fought. Me and my father argued and fought, physically fought for more than half my life. More than half my life. And he spent more time trying to dictate and yell at me and my brother than he did trying to nurture and be a real father to me and my brother. And the impact that that has had on me to this day, I don't I don't smile a lot, and I got a lot to smile about, but I don't smile a lot. I don't smile a lot, and as you can see, I got great teeth. I don't smile a lot because of what his character and his behavior has done to me overall. I didn't know how to really love a woman because of the lack of love that he gave me. My mother loved me to death, but she could not teach me how to be a man. I had to be forced to be a man. And there's so many young men or young teenage boys who are being forced to be a man and not knowing when you're forced to be something, you may not be doing it correctly. You get what I'm saying? Being forced to be a man is not something that you should have to encounter as a young boy or young teenager. It should be a gradual process that your father bestows upon you year after year after year and grooms you to be to the point where you take on certain uh, uh, things that a man should know before he gets to 18, 19, 20, and all those things. And it should be a continuous process. The same with women. You know, I'm gonna say this too. There probably wouldn't be prostitution. Listen to me. Prostitution probably wouldn't be it probably wouldn't be as many prostitutes. If let's say in America there's I'm just throwing out a number. There's over a million prostitutes just in America. It's probably more. I'm just putting out a number. If you out of a million prostitute women, let's break it up in a pie chart. There's some that just on drugs, but how many of those women did not have fathers to guide them from birth and was with them along their journey from one, two, three, four, and all the way up into teenage years? How many of those prostitutes, if they had fathers who showed them this is how a man needs to treat you, this is the way that I want to show you of how a man should treat you, respect you, and this is what you should require out of a man. A man should never raise his hand to a woman because that young girl had never seen her father raise his hand to her mother. Her father, I got friends who when they had daughters, they opened the door for the mothers and daughters. So as they got older, that's what they remembered. This dude needs to open the door for me. And if he doesn't open the door for me, he's not for me. So how many of those prostitutes you think if they were had fathers in their lives wouldn't be prostitutes? Yeah, I know some of them got hooked on drugs and hooked on this and whatever. But how many out of, let's say, a million, if they had fathers that guided them along the way with the mothers, would they still be prostitutes? Would they still be prostitutes? See, people don't understand when you're missing a significant element, when you're missing a significant part of the vehicle, it won't go nowhere. You can have the engine in the car, but if it doesn't have the battery, it doesn't have the hoses, it doesn't have the belts, it doesn't have the things that it needs to 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 make it run, it won't run. So you can have the mothers all day in these homes, but if the other half to fill up the cup ain't there, how the hell can it be whole? A lot of these, a lot of these, a lot of these young boys, a lot of these that grow up to be men, a lot of these young girls that grow up to be women are not whole because a lot of them are missing a significant part of the engine, which is the father to these people's lives. Do you get what I'm saying? So having absent fathers mean a lot. It has done a lot to the black community. It has done a lot to how women are getting treated out here. How many of the women out here who have this way of the man must do this, the man must do that materially? How many of them actually have fathers that said, "No, we're gonna do this. You don't need to go ask a man to do this and that, the other. I've been showing you the way since you were a little girl." So the mentality of how a man should be won't be about how much money he got. It will play a factor in how his character is, how loyal he is, what his career goals is, what he's willing to do as a man. If the father was there to implement these different things, would there still be as many prostitutes out here? Listen to what I'm saying to you. I'm not saying would prostitution be abolished. Would there be as many women that would take to the streets if the father was the backbone, the backbone that was teaching them from birth? Yeah, some of them gonna fall off along the way, but how many of them would be like, nah, I have a father in my life that he's not gonna ever go for that. Y'all don't understand. A lot of people have no idea, real idea of the effects that black fathers not being in these homes have done to black America, have done to black young girls, have done to black women who've gone from girls to women, black boys who have gone to black boys to black men. The damage that is caused. I am damaged to a degree. My father has never taught me a goddamn thing. And it's been elements of people that have been around who helped shape my life, who said, who've got me back in perspective. If you have an uncle or somebody who's a surrogate uncle who's come into your life and shown you the way, I applaud you. And that's what I got. But a father in my life? No way. No way. There's never been a real father. My uncle, his name is Ray. He's not my real uncle, but he's like my real uncle and my real father. And I've learned so much from him that helped continue to shape me as a man. And if I didn't have these type of people in my life, man, I would be an angry dude that doesn't really care about people's feelings or whatever, or will have only one perspective. That's what fathers do for young boys. They give them a solid pathway on where not to go and where to go. That's missing. That is so missing out here. And when you're missing the engine to the car. You can't go nowhere. And a lot of these kids, these young boys, these young girls ain't going nowhere. They out here doing drugs. They out here committing crimes. They out here murdering people. I'm not saying that people with two-parent homes and with with good parents don't do crime. What I'm saying is the majority that have two solid, especially the father in their life, they ain't doing crime like that. They ain't doing crime like that because there's no need to. Because a lot of times when you have a good father, there's certain things you're gonna do and you're not gonna do because you know your father gonna be on your ass. He gonna be on your head. He's not gonna. You don't want to disappoint a good father. You don't want to. You don't want to try to, do wild shit that's gonna disappoint your father. You want to. You want to be. You a lot of young boys who have good fathers want to be their fathers. A lot of them have that example. They want to be that. My father's who I want to be. A lot of them say that. A lot of young cats, men who had a solid father in their life, they want to be like their father because he is the blueprint of what I want to be because he's shown me the way. But a lot of these young sisters, these young girls, these young boys, these young men, and these men, they didn't have no example. They created their own example, whether it be right or wrong. The absence of a father, the absence of a father and what it has done to the black community is outrageous. It's outrageous. If you're a black male, how many of your friends' fathers have been a staple in their lives from birth to now? If you got more than two, three friends that have a stable father who's been actively involved in their life from birth to now, man, that's a good look. I applaud you. But most of us don't. You got friends that be like, man, I don't know who my father is. I don't know where he's at. I seen him a couple times. And he ain't done shit. He's asked me for money. That's what a lot of people gonna say. The absence of fathers in men and women's lives have dictated on how a person would be or will be. You know, let me explain something to you. Let me say this to you. If a lot of these young girls, listen to me, if a lot of these young girls from the age of 5 to 10, from 13 to 20, if they had fathers who showed them love every time they got home from work, who they cradled their daughters, they taught their daughters, they showed them as an example to their daughters what a man is, what a man should do, how a man should talk to you, how a man should respect you. That creates a memory system. That memory system is uh it's it's applied every year. So whoever your dad is, okay, this is for young women and women. Whoever your dad was, if he was an upstanding dude, a real man that took care of his wife, and which is your mother, and took care of the house and showed you and showed you the way, talked to you, spent time with you. Every year he spent time building building a foundation of what you see as a man in this world. And your father is one important uh, uh, people that should be showing you that. So every year he's showing you as you get older, you learn a little bit more, you learn a little bit more, you get older, you learn a little bit more. So when you out here in the world, you have years, you have years of documentation and visual and mental impressions of how your father has showed you what a man is supposed to be, what a man is supposed to be in your life. And he has showed you example after example after example after example. So you don't have no need to make dumb mistakes with dudes trying to whisper something crazy in your ear, because your father being there has shown you not. Has shown you that he's faithful to your mother. Has shown you he don't yell and scream at your mother. Has opened the car door for your mother. Has taken your mother on trips, and you and the family. Has done what a man's supposed to do. But if you remove that from young girls and you remove that from young teenagers, guess what? You're looking for validations in men, because you don't have no example. So a man can tell you whatever he want to tell you. You know what's funny? When a boy, a young man and a young male, I'm sorry, a young boy and a man always knows when there's not a father around. Those with ill intentions, when they deal with women, they always know when there's not a big brother around, or a father not around. And they can do anything they want to. They have their way. There's only so much the mother can say. They always know. Those are the ones that prey on that. But you ever noticed a guy who wants to see a girl, and she has her father around, and she has her brothers around? He can't pull no bullshit. He can't infiltrate that. He's got to come talk to the father. If he really want to be interested in that girl, he's got to talk to the father. He's got to go through that barbed wire fence. And there's a protection around that. A lot of females are not protected because the father are not around. And this is the damage. And these women are looking for validation in dudes. What dudes are saying. That's why you got so much shit on the internet. People damned in women naked all the time. Let me show you my ass, my ass, my ass, my ass, my ass. Do you think if they had a father, they would be showing you all this ass? If the father was around, like a Cliff Huxtable or James Evans or Phil off Fresh Prince of Bel Air, you think if you got a I'm talking about an overly solid father in a woman's life or a young girl's life, all her life, you think she's gonna be shaking her ass on the camera? Nah, because her daddy didn't teach her that, and he will be highly disappointed in that bullshit. Highly disappointed in that bullshit. But when the father's not around, when the black father's not around, predators predators have they free reign to do whatever to certain girls and have them think in certain ways. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something else. How many pimps? Hear me out. How many pimps could exist? How many pimps could exist if there were fathers? There was more active fathers in these women's lives. Listen to what I said to you. I'm not saying pimping wouldn't exist. Never said that. Never said pimping wouldn't exist. But how many pimps would be accessible to these prostitutes, or how many of these pimps would have access to these girls if real fathers were in their life? So let's go back with just a random number. You got 40. Let's say you got a 100,000 prostitutes on the street, and you got 20,000 pimps. If a lot of those women had fathers from birth to now, how would the pimp be able to do some pimping? How many of those pimps would be in work? You get what I'm saying? How many of those pimps would be able to have a job as a pimp? If you take 100,000 prostitutes, break that down, and 70,000 of them had active James Evan fathers that ain't going for the bullshit, that has taught his daughter the way of how she should be treated. Or how many of them have Cliff Huxtable fathers that have shown them the way? How many of them? So if you got 70,000 of 100,000 prostitutes that have pimps, 70,000 of them have active fathers in their life. You remove the 70,000, you only have 30,000 prostitutes. And don't get me wrong, some of them even fall victim even when they have fathers. So I'm not saying all of them, but a good 40 to 50%. If you had the father there, nobody likes to disappoint the father if he's really a good father. Nobody, no, especially young girls, they don't want to disappoint their father. They want their father to walk them down the aisle. They want their father to meet the guy that they're interested in. They love their father. If I had a daughter, she would love me, because I wouldn't let no bullshit get past me to get to her. For real talk. So the absence of the father has done so much to the black community that is unreal. The damage. And just imagine if you had a chance to say, damn, you put all these black men back, you turn back the hands of times, and you put all these black fathers back in these children's lives. What is the outcome? What is the outcome? Would it be as many self-esteem issues with women and men? Would some of these dudes be beating on women? Would some of these dudes be beating on their women if they never had, if the father was there from when he was born, and he watched the imagery of how he treated his mother? Would there be as many abusive men out here? Check out what I'm saying. Would there be as many abusive men out here if the fathers were actively in their life from birth, showing them the way, actively having a great time, and showing their son a great time throughout his childhood and throughout his life, and showing an example of how he treats his mother? Would there be as many abusive brothers out there? Would there be as many abusive fathers? Would there be as many abusive teenagers, or just dudes in general? These are situations here. You put fathers back in their lives. You put a father in their life, a staple in their life. How do they act? How do they act? How does it feel to a young male that his father never was in the bleachers watching him play ball? How do you think that? Yeah, the mother's there. We all love our mothers. The mother was there. But how do you think that young male or that young girl feels when that father is not in the bleachers, or that father lied and said, I'll be at your game? And that young brother and that young sister looking at bleachers, and the only one screaming is the mother. You think that has any profound, lasting effects on that child? It does. Because you're looking at them. You're looking at them. Not having your, who taught me? There's one thing that my father showed me how to do. One thing. He showed me how to tie a tie. On accident. He showed me how to tie a tie. That's all he showed me. That's all he showed me, man. is how to tie a tie. He's never showed my brothers nothing. Nothing. You know what he showed? You know what I learned from my father? Is how to cheat on women. This is the yeah. I'm being transparent with you people out here. With all you subscribers out here, all you people to listen to the sound of my voice and seeing the visual, I that's what I learned from my father, to have as many women as possible, even if you're in a relationship. Until I had to come to the conclusion, that ain't no man. You ain't no man because you got a bunch of women and you're cheating on the one that you currently with. That ain't no man. What kind of example is that? But the examples I saw was like, nah, man, you can't get no good karma. You can't be considered a good man and a good brother by doing wrong to somebody else. So this relationship that I've been in to my girl for almost 5 years couldn't even dream of cheating because of the visual examples I've seen as men. So imagine how many visual examples that young boys could have seen that could have changed their pathway of how they treat people or women. See, y'all, you know, the one thing that people don't understand, the hardest job in America is being a mother, right? It's the most it's you should applaud every woman who's been in their children's lives, right? But the one thing people missing with that whole notation is a woman can't be but a woman. She can nurture her child, she can love her child, she can love her children, but she can't be a man. She cannot be a fucking man. So that element of that other side of which children have to learn from is missing. So they have to find it and interpret what if your father is missing, you have to interpret what you should be as a man. Because you had no example. You have to feel your way through it. And if you feeling your way to how to be a man, you're gonna make mad mistakes. You're gonna make a bunch of mistakes that may cost you your life. The black man absent from the black family has done catastrophic damage to the black community. It has on so many levels. We don't even have this. There's a lot of sisters out here who don't have identity. There's a lot of brothers out there who don't have identity. They don't have knowledge because a different part of their life wasn't there. A different part of their life wasn't there to have a balanced situation, a mother and a father. Let me ask my mother this question. Now let me ask my father this question. And I can weigh out the difference. What would my father do in this situation? What would my father do in this situation as a male? See, a lot of men, a lot of men, including myself, again, being transparent, a lot of men don't know how to express love. A lot of men don't know how to express love. Why is that? Why is that? A lot of women, I'm going to say this along with that, a lot of women think if a man beats her, or he loves the shit out of me. Why is that? You realize how insanely discombobulated that mindset is to say, this man beats me, he must love the shit out of me. Really? There's no example. Because if the father was there, showing an example with her mother, Nah, a man should never, never raise his hand to a woman. And if that's demonstrated from birth to a grown woman, she would know that mentally. So she couldn't even possibly believe that a man would even could even possibly love her if he has to be physical with her. Period. But there's nobody showing her. There's nobody showing her. Even if the mother was there showing her, there's still an element missing. Like, nah, that dude don't. There's no man would. That's not an imprint of love. That's never an example or imprint of what love should be. And the same thing with dudes. I I felt so uncomfortable, man. My mother loved the shit out of me and my brother. Like I said, she gave us a great childhood. But there were so many elements to the missing father. For a long time, it's hard for me to tell my girl I miss her, and I could be missing her like crazy, but not having that, hey, hearing that from my father or seeing that example made me stiff and like, oh, that's, excuse me, this is not no disrespect to anybody who's gay, but when you have a warped sense of mind, when telling another person that you miss, oh, that's gay, that's crazy. I'm not saying that. No offense to nobody, but that's how I used to think. Saying I used to couldn't tell my brother. I used to feel weird. My brother said, "Man, I love you, bro," and I would feel weird, even though I love the shit out of my brother. Saying it out my mouth was like, it was weird. It was weird. I don't recall my father ever telling me and my brother, "Yo, hey, I love you. I love you. I love you and your brother." Never. Ain't that some shit? What do you think that done to me? And what do you think the impact that has had on me of how I treat people, and especially in relationships? So at this age, I'm just now being able to be comfortable with saying, man, I love you, bro. I tell my brother every time we on the phone, we get off the phone, man, I love you. I love you. Bro, I love the shit out of that dude. My girl, I tell her all the time, I love you. I tell my friends, I love you. The ones that are my friends, I love you. But the absence of not having that example there, it has a lasting effect on how you are and how you could be in your life today. Those who are missing fathers, those who are missing fathers in their life and have missed their father, is a part of us that always wants to, man, man, I wish my father would get his would. You know how I think right now? I tried to, me and my father got cool right after the pandemic. We talked, we chopped it up, we would FaceTime each other, do all that. And me and my girl even went to visit. But what I saw was my dad hadn't seen me in 15 years, right? 15 years. When he saw me, he acted as if he had seen me 2 hours ago. My stepmother gave me the longest embrace, damn near in tears, hadn't seen me in 15 years. What the fuck is that? You after all this time, you still can't express love for your sons. So I contribute that to whatever how he felt, how his dad treated him, my grandfather. But I know I had a great great grandmother, his mother. So I don't understand that. But I watched my dad's move, and he hasn't changed to the capacity of what I see. We don't talk on the phone. When we talk on the phone, it's about material shit. Man, what are we talking about? Tell me something that's gonna groom me to continue to evolve as a man. I don't give a fuck about who got this Benz or because your house costs this. I don't give a shit about that. Let's talk about some substance. And as we as men, when you come into conclusion of who you are and you growing and you prospering as a man, when you talk to your father, you want at this age, man, we it, we should be chilling around our father, smoking cigars, having a good time, drinking some cognac or something or whatever, and just having a good time. Nah, man. So what I want people to know is this. If your fathers have done a tremendous amount of damage in the black community, fathers have done a tremendous, absent fathers have done a tremendous amount of damage in how we act towards one another, how we are in relationships, how we are at our jobs, how we are in our waking life, how we are with people, how we are with ourselves. Let me say that again. How we missing fathers has a contribute to how we are with ourselves. It has done so much damage. It has done so much damage. But I'm gonna give you this. Yeah, it has done a lot of damage, missing fathers. But you can recoup. If you have an uncle that loves you to death and is like a mentor to you, embrace that. Embrace that fellowship with your uncle. If you have an older friend, an older guy that's been a part of your family for long, and he teaches you the way, shows you the ins and outs. This is to women as well. Embrace that. There's going to always be a part of you that, man, I wish my father would get his shit together, or man, but if you have somebody in your life that's like a father figure, embrace that. Embellish in that. Enjoy that. And don't let a missing father continue to damage your future journey. You can't. You can think about all the damage it has caused, but think about you're still here. And if there's people that participate in your life that aids in that comfort of absentee fathers, embrace it. Embrace it. We all know what the absentee father and the missing father, missing black father in the homes have done to us as black children, as black teenagers, as black men and women. But we can't dwell on that. We can acknowledge it, but we can't dwell on that. So in wrapping this up, notice if you have people in your life, women, if you have solid older mentors, men that are solid, not somebody looking to do something devious, somebody who's solid that you go to, whoever that may be, embrace that. If that cat is like your father or somebody you consider as a father role, embrace that. And whatever is in the past, let it be and learn from now. So on your way, you can teach somebody else. And black men, if you got an uncle, if you got an older man that's like your father, embrace what he's saying. Embrace what he's saying. Listen to what he's saying. Don't worry about what your father didn't do. Worry about what your father like figure is doing now. So you can give that back to somebody else as you become an OG. That's how you fix the black community. Even with the absentee fathers, If you got somebody in your life that's giving you the game, embrace the game, soak up the game. So when you become older, you give the game back like a present and it spreads. And in that way, you start chipping away at the damage that missing fathers have done in the Black community, piece by piece. Remember that. Remember that. But if you dwell on what your father wasn't there, what he didn't do, he missed that, missed this, you're going to miss your opportunity. You're going to miss your opportunity. Women, you're going to miss your opportunity if you don't listen to what that father figure is trying to present to you. Nobody can erase who your father is, but they can erase the bad memories and the bad examples that that person have sown into you by giving you this good seed of good examples. So use that and give it to other young ladies as you get older. So you can eradicate some of these things that a lot of these young girls are seeing and doing and how they think. People, this has been Dre Morset on the Dre Morset podcast. Pass this on, man. Pass this video on and let people hear this video and help them understand. Yeah, you may have had some hardships without a father, but it's gonna get better. And if we continue to uh, pass on the information and help each other as we get older, we can get rid of some of that bad energy that absentee fathers have given us as children, teenagers, and as men. We can get over it. I appreciate y'all listening. This has been Dre Morset on the Dre Morset podcast. I want you to like, subscribe, and comment. Like, subscribe, and comment, people. I want to hear what you got to say, for real. It's an enjoyment to hear what you got to say. Tell me how you feel. So tell me how you feel, like, subscribe, and comment, and I want you to pass this on, man, because Black community need to hear this conversation. They need to hear it. It helps people get better. It helps people improve. And it helps people realize you don't have to be damaged for the rest of your life. Motivation.